11-1. And this football team right now, that was, I would say this, probably the most complete game since Minnesota. Let's bring our friend Garry Cobb in from Fox 29 and get his take on this. Would you agree, Gary? That's probably the most complete game that they've played since the Minnesota game?
Yes, it is. I thought, because you got contribution from the special teams, they looked decent. I mean, they went out and did a good job. Britton Covey had some good returns. They put in the defense. You're helping the offense out. And that's what they've got to do. I mean, really, I think so many things have changed now with the way that I look at this team. Look, you guys are clearly one of the better teams in this league. But you got to do it now. There's no time to wait for next year and everything. Look, guys don't want to run down on kickoff, punt return. Look, we're getting you out of here. We don't have time to play games. We need you to realize that what this situation is, we've got a chance to win this thing, but we've got to have everybody on board. And we're not going to let a knucklehead, some people that want to go out there on special teams and hide and not do anything. No, you're going to contribute. Everybody on here is contributing. Got to get serious about this thing. We're not going to let special teams cost us because we got an outstanding kicker. We got a decent punter. And we're going to have guys that cover. I saw where Dean went down and made a big hit on the kickoff. That's the kind you're supposed to be seeing every now and then, big hits and things. But they got to get serious because
Wouldn't you agree, Gary?
Yeah.
That I told everybody in here, I go, I don't think they did anything schematically, special teams wise. I think they probably went to them and said this. Special teams is about going down and making a fucking play and hitting someone and knocking them out. And if you don't want to do it, I can find a guy at the Walmart and get that guy in here because, right, Gary, if I've got to motivate special teams guys, this is traditionally your last shot to stay on the team.
Hey, when you got guys on special teams, they know they're one step from the door, okay? Dude, you better be running your behind down there and whatever you got to do. And if you get knocked out, then we'll get you up and get you out of here. Hey, but look, because you're on the end of the road. So you're running down there. You got young guys that are hungry, that want to show I can play. Show us you can play. Get in there on special teams and do something. And we don't have for guys thinking they're better than they are. Some guys are over there, hey, I should be starting. Look, we don't want to hear that crap. You get in there on the special teams and do your job. And that's the thing you got to have. And right now, the games are over, man. We are in the heat of this thing. I mean, you got a few teams, Dallas, San Francisco. We're going to have to beat those guys if we play them. But, man, we are not going to lose this thing because guys not giving any effort on special teams. If you're going to be on this team and wear a uniform, you're going to be out there running down like your life was on the line, make a play on special teams. And then you're going to have, I bet you have some of the other guys that start talking to special teams like, look, dude, we ain't got time. We don't want to hear the excuses. Get your butt in there and do your job. You got to have.
Gary, I want to get to Jalen here. I'll tell you something. I said something, and I made this proclamation about him. I think that if I'm going to compare Jalen Hurts to somebody in their preparation, I said that I don't have a problem comparing Jalen Hurts to Tom Brady and the way he prepares. And follow me here when I say this. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers, I think you and me, I don't want to speak for you. I think we look at Aaron Rodgers and he's a more gifted athlete than what Tom Brady ever was. But Tom Brady was a savant in how he prepared for the game. Yeah. I think one of the biggest improvements, if not the biggest improvement, is how Jalen thinks himself around a game plan. He is, Gary, last week, 153 running. This week, 380 in the air.
Yeah.
And he has to be involved in that game plan because of that RPO. Just your take. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks, and I think that's his biggest improvement has been how he fits himself into a game plan.
Well, so much of the quarterback position, especially with what they're putting on him, because they're asking him to do a lot of things. I mean, you talk these RPOs. The key is the decision making by that guy that's got the ball. That's That's what it comes down to. That guy's got to be able to make the decision. And really, some of the decisions are blurry, man. Where a guy can be coming on an angle and should you keep the ball? Should you not? Now, sometimes you're going to be wrong. But the thing that he is able to do is he's been making clear decisions, crisp decisions with the football. When he throws it, he's been making, distinct decisions, decisive, confident. And I think the guys are gleaning that off of him, that in the huddle, man, look, I got this. And it's not easy to do because I said he's doing all these RPOs, which are decisions, which normally a lot of times quarterback doesn't have to make those decisions with the running game. But he's got to make all those decisions with the running game and, of course, in the passing game. Now, he is fortunate that he's got some receivers, especially like with AJ, where you can put a ball up. He's one-on-one. I feel confident putting that ball up. I know they're not going to get the ball, and good chance that we're going to get it. That's a positive, and Devonta's been able to do that as well. So that's a plus. But still, he's been very good when it comes to making decisions. He's been crisp about it. He's been a very cool customer, late in some games, and in the games that they won, he has been, I don't think you could expect that he was going to make this type of progress so soon. It's amazing. No,
I can't believe Garry, would you make the same comparison on Hurts's involvement and him evolving? It was almost like when we watched Lamar, when Lamar got the job from Joe Flacco, I was like this, Garry. They played a playoff game against the Chargers. I said, this guy here might be out of the league in 5 years. He comes back the next year. He's the MVP of the league. And they win all them ball games. I had never seen a quarterback with that kind of improvement. But Garry, you and I, we played against the Montanas and the Marinos and all them dudes. I'd still suspect on this style of play winning a game. Am I wrong, or Garry? Are we just that old guy? Get off our lawn, dude.
I've been voicing some of that too because hey, that if you got Jalen running with that football and you got design plays, all it takes is a guy in a huddle with a knee, ankle, whatever.
Look at Lamar; he's hurt.
Come on, it happens so quick, and you got so much on the line. That's why I'm not crazy about it, especially when you got an offensive line where, look, we brought you guys, put you together. You guys are fist fighters. We're going to come in here and we're going to knock these guys off the ball. We're running the ball. But to ask Jalen to do it, now I understand that, with his ability to run, it is an X factor. But the thing is, it can always come back and bite you. That's why I love it when he's throwing from the pocket, get the ball out of your hands. If he's going to run, he's running out in open space, and anybody comes near you, get on the ground because look at what's on the line now. Like I said, everything's a lot more serious.
Oh, yeah.
So, come on. You got a chance to win this thing, you guys.
Those pre-snap penalties, Garry, got to clean that shit up, dude.
Got to clean that up, man. And they got to realize what's on the line. Right now, this is not about, so many years where you're going through the motions. Look, 11-1. There's a good chance you're going to be hosting this thing. If we do what we got to do, we can win this whole thing. And that's the way. That's where we're at. They're not going to be talking about that because they got to look at the detail and everything. But the coaches got to start looking ahead, and they're looking at, look, we're already looking at film, looking at the Cowboys. We're looking at San Francisco. We got to know these are the guys we're going to ultimately have to beat.
Garry, do you think the Eagles are playing better football right now than the Cowboys?
Are they playing better? This last game was as good as anybody's playing in the NFL.
They did put a 54 burger on Indianapolis.
That's why I wasn't so quick to say, they're definitely, because Dallas is playing. You can't help but look over there and say, man, and in San Francisco too. I know they got a quarterback hurt and everything, but they're gonna have a fight on their hands. Both of those teams, because they got the boys up front. They're tough. They play physical football.
And I think the 49ers have a better defense than the Eagles. That kid Nick Bosa and that Fred Warner and that group they have they may be a little bit lesser in the secondary to the Eagles. The Eagles probably have them in the corners. But Gary, the edge rushers, San Francisco, man, that front four, I think it's better, and I think their linebacking core is better.
Hey, the way they got after Tua, I mean, and Bosa was
punished
coming.
him.
Come on, goodness, he's coming again, man. It's just coming. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to when they play these guys, man. But I can't say that I've watched them enough, but man, they're good,
this,
man.
Gary,
they're good.
How well? Hey, were you impressed with Reed Blankenship and how he played?
Oh man, I've been thrilled about the way he plays. I mean, he plays a physical brand, of safety, and he's got a great feel for the game. I really have been impressed with him, maybe more than anybody else in the whole season, because I didn't know that the kid could play at that level, but he has really been impressive, and I love the physical style he brings to the game, and the kid loves to play, man. I think it's just great. You got a young kid like that. I like the way he talks, man. He's thrilled about being there. This is what it's about, man. This especially right now. I mean, earlier people could talk and stuff. Look, right now, they have got a shot at this thing and everything. They got to pull out all the stops and they got to go after it because, they got a bunch of quality players on the team. And they got to play their best football. Now, I was impressed. That was definitely an outstanding effort against the Titans. We got to see that type of football where everybody's doing their job. And doggone these special teams, you're running down there and kickoff. We talked about it all year and laughed. It ain't nothing to laugh about anymore. You better do your job. We better not give up a kickoff or a punt that beats us, that costs us. We're not tolerating that. Do your job because this is a special time, and they have got a shot to win this thing, and everybody's got to be thinking that way. Do your job, man. Do your job.
Gary, do you think that Jalen has closed the gap on Mahomes for MVP?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, I think he has because, the last two games, come on, man, this special. You got a quarterback running for, buck
157 last week.
And then you throw for 380.
I know.
I mean, without a doubt, I think that, you got to look at Jalen because he's been doing things like that all year where he has been utilizing his legs. I mean, I'm not as crazy about it because I don't want the risk of the injury, but without a doubt, it has been a factor that has broken defenses back where they do not have an answer for it because you got to make sure that if you use a spy, the spy's got to be able to tackle him in open field. He's got to be able to run him down. And they haven't been able to find the right guy because, you get a linebacker, maybe he's not fast enough, a safety or a backup corner or something. He might not have the strength. I mean, Jalen is strong.
He is. Gary, you mentioned something just now that I never thought of. Most voters around the NFL, they look at box scores and they see 380 yards, 25-29, 3 touchdowns, and they don't really watch Philadelphia Eagle football. If you don't watch Eagle football, you might not know the importance because the week previous he throws for 150.
Yeah.
But a writer's going to go, okay, well, he ran for 150. We know what that style means. It's got a low ceiling, and you don't see what he does on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And I think you and I both are trying to come out of that norm of how we see that. But if you don't really watch him play.
That's a good point.
Right, Gary? He was just as important last week.
Yeah.
As he was this week, but yet it was reversed in numbers. They threw the ball for 380 because the Titans have a weak secondary. I mean, Gary, do you think that that's going to be part of the pollution on how they see Jalen in the voting? Because they really don't watch Eagle football.
Yeah, I mean, you make an excellent point. Because in the game on Sunday, he made that run to get in the end zone. How many quarterbacks are going to outrun those guys and get to that corner and get into that end zone? But, it looks like it was just another quarterback sneak. No, it wasn't a quarterback sneak. Only a few quarterbacks in the league could have gotten to that corner and scored where you got a corner or a safety tracking you, and he's able to run and get into that end zone. And not to mention last week, with the fact that because of the utilization of his legs and his athletic ability, he's able to just basically cut a defense up to where certain things they can't do. They can't play man-to-man. They got to play a zone. They got to put a spy in there where you are basically dictating to the defense of what you can and cannot do. And, that's a powerful weapon. And I just hope he's just smart about it. And I think I would just remind him, look, hey, we need you, man. We do not need you taking chances. You get what you got and get on the ground. We don't want you taking, shots that you don't need to take. So, but he's definitely, I think right now, if I were to vote, I would say he's the MVP without a doubt because, the Chiefs have come up short a number of times. They got 3 losses, and Mahomes has had the other quarterback outplay him a number of times. How many quarterbacks have outplayed Jalen Hurts?
I haven't seen one. Gary, that's a spectacular point. If you had to go all 12 games this year that they played, was Jalen the best quarterback on the field? Even in the loss to Washington, he was the best quarterback on the field.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say that for any other guy in the league, right? Because they've been so sporadic. There's been moments. The Chiefs, they've had moments. The Bills have had moments, but Jalen didn't lose that Washington game.
No, he didn't lose that. It makes you think. I know in the Heisman Trophy thing, from being out there, USC, you see the guys put together this Heisman Trophy tape for guys to go after that. Maybe the Eagles need to do that. They need to let everybody see all the things this guy has done this year. Where in every game, he just made key plays. Times he's extended drives. How many drives has he extended with his legs and, of course, with his arm? I mean, come on. The guy is I think right now he has been the most valuable player in this league. His team has got the best record, and he has been the most valuable player. I think he makes a strong claim to that, after this effort this week. And then Mahomes and the Chiefs coming up short. Come on. One team 11-1, another team 9-3. What's that?
Let me end with this one here.
Yeah.
You and I, when we ever got our game plans, we would get a game plan. And what I try to tell people is a defensive coordinator would put trends. And usually 3 games are a trend on what a team does. And plus you go back a year, whether you play them, if they're divisional games, if you have, conference games where you play inside the conference, what have you. But 3 games usually make a trend on what a team is doing.
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 weeks, how well do you think the Eagle front 4 has done when it comes to stopping the run with the addition of Joseph and Sue? I think it's actually kind of maybe given a little bit of a spark to Fletcher Cox because I think he's played better. I mean, How do you see it, Gary? Do you think in the last 3 games? Because to me, that's the true trend.
Well, in the last 3 games, it's almost like you got new guys out there. And, of course, you do have some guys that you've added. But there does seem to be a spark. These guys are getting off the ball. Looking at the way those guys were coming around the corner, in the game against the Titans. Woo, that's what I saw down in Dallas, which it just gets your eye, man. Whoa, look at the way these guys are coming around that corner. I think that they've seen some of the film. They look at some of the other teams are doing, and clearly San Francisco, I see it there. I was looking over at Bosa yesterday. I'm going,
woo.
Man. Well,
he gets around. Hey, those guys. He gets around that corner, doesn't he?
Comes around that corner, man. Comes around that corner. You going like, woo! He's coming around and he's making it tight. And we saw that yesterday with Sweat and Hassan Reddick coming around that corner, man. I love that boy because tell you what, that travels. You can take it anywhere, man. If you're coming off the ball like that, I don't care. Hey, that quarterback he's feeling it. He is feeling that.
Let me sneak this one into you too. Yeah. Gary, Barrett Brooks was on a couple days ago, and he made this comment about this offense, and I want to get your take on it here. The one thing that also is going to become evident here with this Eagle team over the next couple weeks, because as the weather gets worse, some teams are dome teams. The Tua team plays in the heat down in Miami. You have to go maybe to Baltimore, or you got to go to the cold. Yeah. Barrett kind of said, maybe this team is one of those teams that could be built for cold weather, warm weather. Really doesn't matter because they can go into domes. They can go into frigid weather if they have to. We're going to have it at Philly probably because they're going to have home field. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, late in the year when you have to go to Chicago, or when you have to go to New York or what have you, you're kind of built for it. Do you think that there's something to that too?
Well, the versatility of this team. I mean, we saw that the last 2 weeks. We saw the game against Green Bay where they took advantage of their inability to stop the run. They say, why we're going to run the ball down your throat? I mean, and they took it to an extreme to where they just kept doing it and doing it. And then the next week, you look at the Titans, clearly they're better against the run than against the pass. So they just threw it and threw it and threw it and sliced and diced them up. I mean, the ability and the versatility is something I don't know who else in the league has it to that level, to be able to be that versatile and be able to go out and just dominate a game in either way, where you're just dominating the game. And that's why, man, I'm saying, you know what? We've got no time to wait. We got to get serious about these teams and everything else, because it's there to win. I mean, come on. They're clearly one of the best teams in the league. It's very clearly there. And they're going to have to play some good teams to win it. And so you don't want to let something, stop, what is something that is clearly there for them. And I think they're as good as any of those teams. And when they play their best football, to play like they did against the Titans, where you got everybody doing their job, that's what we got to see the rest of the way.
Hey, Gary, I want to sneak this one in. Please tell me this. Because Seth and I and everybody, I mean, dude, is Jonathan Gannon a good coordinator or is he not?
Seth and I, we ran into each other over at the Lifetime. It's a workout place over. Man, we talked much but for an hour and Seth could not stop, and I know what he's talking about. But the Eagles, they don't play a style which we were even Seth more than I am, because Seth came in the league. Buddy Ryan was our head coach, and Buddy Ryan believed in getting people, being on the attack defensively and really dominating people to the point to where you just kind of enforce your will on the offense. And I can understand where Jonathan Gannon's saying, "Hey, we want to take away the big play and everything." But with the defensive line they have, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine because he doesn't want to blitz. He doesn't want to go after them like that. And as long as the defensive line is rushing the passer like they have, then they'll be fine. But
why do I feel like I want a cup of tea when I watch his defensive schemes? I mean, I feel like I don't even want to put the pinky up when I'm watching Jonathan Gannon with those soft ass zones. Why do I go like this, Gary? I mean, I don't want to drink coffee. I want to drink tea, and I want to have a brisket.
Now think about it. With the secondary he has. I mean, you got a secondary. You got an outstanding secondary. Why don't you believe in these guys? And occasionally they can play man to man, where you go after people. If anything, it's going to allow them to force more turnovers. So, but I resigned myself to the fact that, hey, he coaches the way he is. I'm just hoping that everything works out. But if it were myself, you better believe I would be going after them more than he does, because
he's like a scout leader.
Well, the thing is, if he had, some of the guys that have played for guys that go after and believe in really putting the pressure and taking it to the offense, he would definitely be feeling a little heat. But you know what?
I could see him giving merit badges. Gary, I could see him giving merit badges out in the team meetings here for like building a tent and knowing how to start a fire and shit. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I like people who get after people. Gary, I've kept you on too long here, man. I love you, man. And thank you so much for doing this.
All right.
I appreciate it, my friend.
Hey, have a good one. Go Birds.
Garry Cobb, Fox 29. Make sure you check